We have something a little bit different for you today, and I really hope you enjoy it.
Today we have got this lovely Mason Bokeh.
We're going to hand this over to Jake,
which is actually going to India. We want this bike to be safe, sound, smooth, ready to rumble. It's aluminium, so it's nice and easy to do. People who make carbon frames can't seem to do it. The paint actually starts to seem to corrode. Bit of a shame because they are quite nice bikes. Oh, she's tight. Only available from us. You cannot get it anywhere else. For a factory bottom bracket, that's pretty good. It's about as expensive as gold. Yeah, big build up of sealant and obviously lining up the logo with the valve because that's a massive performance differentiator.
we have something a little bit different for you today, and I really hope you enjoy it. This is a Mason Bokeh, but this belongs to a very loyal customer of ours who has been training with us in the gym all winter, and he brings all of his bikes into us to be prepared. And this bike particularly is now going off to India for a really special once-in-a-lifetime trip, and he's asked us to just go through and check everything, mitigate all possible risks of anything going wrong on his massive trip. And this bike, he spent ages trying to get the right combination of rear panniers, and look at all these mounts he's got on the down tube, and mounts here for a front bag, and down here on the fork legs, and suspension stem. You know, he's really spent a lot of time preparing this bike, and now it's our job to make sure that absolutely everything is as perfect as it can be. In fact, not my job. We're going to hand this over to Jake, and you've met Jake on the channel before. Jake has just spent 18 months on a national apprenticeship scheme with us and just finished his 2-day-long apprenticeship, which means he is now a fully qualified mechanic. And I really hope you enjoy this video as Jake takes you through everything that he did to get this bike ready for its once-in-a-lifetime trip.
Hello bicycle fans, and welcome back to the Mapdeck Cycleworks channel. Today we have got this lovely Mason Bokeh, which is actually going to India in a couple of weeks, and we have got a few things to do to it. So yeah, we need to obviously give it a proper check over. We're going to be replacing the shift cables, making sure the brakes are sound, checking any bearings for wear, and obviously making sure the tyres are good to go as well. Basically anything that could be causing them problems whilst they're on their trip. We want this bike to be safe, sound, smooth, ready to rumble, and just good and proper for this customer's trip. So yeah, this customer, they take pretty good care of their bike. It's in fairly regularly for servicing, so I'm not expecting anything major from this service, but we do want to check it over to make sure it's all good. It's had, like, the chain ring have been replaced recently, but we do have a new cassette to fit to it as well, just to be sure. So let's jump into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is check the chain for wear. I've got this lovely Park Tool chain checker. This is just, is it worn, yes or no, which I quite like. So I'm going to put it in the 0.5 millimeter tab, just to see whether it's worn or not. And you can see here, as that's sitting out of the chain, that means the chain is not stretched. If this little bit here were to dive down into that link, that would tell me that the chain has begun to stretch out and will be starting to wear on the chain rings and chain. But I know this chain's been replaced fairly recently. I think it's about April, so only a couple of months ago. And yeah, it's not done a huge amount of miles since then, so we should be fine just to crack on with this. So I've just given the bike a bit of a once over, and I found there's a little bit of knock in the bottom bracket, and the headset bearings are feeling a little bit gritty as well. So obviously we're going to get into those. I think probably a new bottom bracket's on the cards, and again, new headset bearings. Nothing major, but yeah, just making sure that nothing's going to go wrong for this customer on their trip. It's going to be the world's longest axle. You can now see why I was not a professional basketball player. Right, so I'm at the headset now, got my top cap off. Just going to do a bit of investigation on this bad boy, see what's what, whether we need to do both bearings, just one, we'll have a look. We've got a little rack mount type deal here that I need to negotiate. Yeah, you can just see on the bottom here, just like a little build up of dirt in there, just suggesting that maybe going a little bit rusty and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, just nipping these problems in the bud. Yeah, this top bearing feels sound. This is still nice and smooth. I'll probably replace it anyway, because you can just see starting to get like a little bit of dirt build up on it. And if we're replacing the bottom one, we might as well do the top. But yeah, it's this bottom one that I think is the problem. You can just hear, I don't know if you can hear that on the camera, but starting to get a little bit gritty, and it's fairly stuck in there as well. So gonna have to get a bit of bashing. Yeah, didn't need much pressure on that. Just, I presume it's just sort of got stuck in there with a bit of dirt build up and that sort of stuff. Not too bad, but yeah, feeling a little bit gritty. So gonna go and have a gander for one of these to make sure we're going to be nice and smooth. Right, so quality control wise, the Masons are actually pretty good in terms of their kind of bearing faces, bottom brackets, that sort of stuff. Their headsets are usually clear of paint, right size, no kind of voids or bubbles or anything like that inside the faces. Again, it's aluminium, so it's nice and easy to do. People who make carbon frames can't seem to do it. Yeah, again, bottom bracket faces are all usually really nice, but the problem these Masons do have is actually the paint itself. So if you can see here, the paint actually starts to seem to corrode after a little while. You can see it all kind of bubbling up here, and it starts to chip off. You can see again at the back of the bike here, we're seeing around like a lot of the bolt holes, underneath the brake mount especially, you can see that starting to corrode there. I don't think it's a safety issue, but it is kind of like, it's one of those things where if you are buying a bike, you'd probably rather not have it. We do see it fairly commonly on these, which is a bit of a shame because they are quite nice bikes. Yeah, job's a good one. Oh, she's tight. Just so you know, children, ratchets solve all of your problems. Yeah, I'm intrigued because this does not feel particularly worn out. Oh, to be fair, that side's got a bit of grit in it. You're just going to clean it out and then get some fresh anti-seize in there for putting the new bottom bracket in to make sure that obviously when it comes to servicing it next time, we're going to be able to take it back out again. Now, we are going to be tightening this bad boy up to 34 Newton meters as per SRAM's instructions. We've got this lovely Weira torque wrench, which I'm sure you've seen on the channel before. And this is really good for bottom brackets because it's reversible. So we can do the torque in both ways, which you don't often get with a big torque wrench like this. So we can make sure both sides are accurately tightened up, which is really cool. Got the patented copyright Mapdex syringe here. Only available from us. You cannot get it anywhere else in the world, definitely not AliExpress. Yeah, just putting a bit of grease on these cranks, not loads, just enough to keep them spinning nice and smoothly. Because if you put loads and loads of grease on your cranks, you can get quite a big build up of dirt. It kind of actually acts like a bit of a glue, like sucking dirt in. So just like a nice light coating, and yeah, putting it on with this little grease applicator to avoid getting my hands dirty and making sure I get a nice, clean, even spread. Just putting a little bit of anti-seize on the splines of this crank and on the bolt threads as well, to make sure it's not going to like seize together completely, and we're still going to be able to get it apart, making sure it's all nice and sweet. Getting the torque wrench on this for the final tightening up. We want to make sure everything's done up properly. So this 40 Newton meters for these GXP cranks might seem like a lot, but it's not really. This is just how tight they're supposed to be. For a factory bottom bracket, that's pretty good. They fill these with fairly thick grease, so you're never ever going to get like a Hambini spin test out of them, but for what it is, that's pretty nice and smooth. So here we have a DT Swiss ratchet hub, and I've taken the cassette off, so I just thought I'd take apart this as well, just give it a nice quick clean and service. It's pretty clean anyway, but we're looking fairly dry on the DT Swiss special grease. This is like a specific ratchet grease. I don't know why you need it, but apparently you do, so we use it. It's about as expensive as gold, so don't want to use like loads, and also if you put a really liberal amount in there, it can make it quite sticky, so making sure everything's running smooth, quiet, and nothing's going to go wrong. Bosh. Now, if you've ever owned one of the SRAM hydraulic levers, you will know it is a bit of a pain to change the gear cables on them. Shimano got it right in their system, but SRAM just didn't get it right. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the bar tape off, and then I can move the cable around. It just makes life way easier. You don't have to bend the cable through really tight radiuses and risk damaging it. It's just quicker, easier, and better for the customer if I just whip this bar tape off instead of trying to mess around and get this cable through. So yeah, got all of the mechanical stuff done now. So that's headset, bottom bracket, new cable, new cassette, cleaned everything out. So now we're going to run downstairs, we're going to get these tyres sorted, give the bike a final torque check, and then it should be good to go. So the last thing we've got to do is sort the tubeless out on this. As you can see, it's dead squishy. It's just kind of been leaking air very lightly over time. So I'm just wondering either where it's not quite got enough sealant in it, or if the tape's starting to lift up. It's not a massive problem, but it's something we want to sort before it goes. Ooh, sticky valve. This could be part of the problem. Yeah, big build up of sealant inside that valve, I think. Get that sorted. As you can see in here, running fairly dry. That's probably only about 20 or 30 mil. So obviously going to give that a top up, and I'm just going to check the tape over as well. We've got a little bit of like excess tape here to kind of tape over the bridge of where it finishes. That's starting to look a little bit loose, so I might just retape that, but nothing drastic here. I think the main problem is probably coming from that lack of sealant and the valve as well. Right, so just refitting this tyre, got that little bit retaped. Most important things are making sure you're putting the tyre on the correct way around, and obviously lining up the logo with the valve, because that's a massive performance differentiator. We've got tyre inserts in here as well. I imagine this is probably part of the reason for why the sealant was so low, because tyre inserts, I've seen in my own wheels, they often seem to absorb sealant a little bit quicker than you'd imagine with regularly. So yeah, but these Space Invaders are usually quite easy to fit compared to something like a Cush core or, you know, something like that. So hopefully shouldn't be too bad. Yeah, this bad boy is fully seated at 30 PSI. We can tell that the tape is all nicely done and nothing's leaking because that's all seated properly. So yeah, get some sealant in this and we're good to go. Okay, it's all nicely seated, about 25, 30 PSI. So pretty happy with that. Just gonna spread the sealant around, then do the same with the front. Right, so we've got all the important work done on this. We just now need to make sure the tyres are still holding air, and I'm going to do a fly and torque check on this, just to make sure everything's tight, everything's sound, and then I'm going to give it a test ride. So yeah, we're pretty much done. But yeah, this should hopefully have a good trip to India. And yeah, would you have done anything differently? Would you put any different parts on this? I think we should be pretty good. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, smash the bell, and purchase our grease syringes. Thank you.
I really hope you enjoyed that. Now the owner of this bike and his colleague have promised us that when they get back from their trip, they're going to come in here and talk us through all the stuff that really worked for them on that trip, the stuff that didn't, and all the adventures they got up to. So if you're keen for that, let us know down in the comments, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they get up to.